5-year-old Mickey, a pit bull terrier, went right for the 4-year-old child's face. Witnesses say 4-year-old Kevin Vincente went to grab one of the dog's bones.
He's still suffering whenever they clean his face, his eye, when they remove that patch, he screams.
Deeper structures in the right side of his face were extensively damaged, ranging from around the eye to the upper cheekbone, the upper jawbone, to the lower jawbone.
I think it's horrible that that happened to him. I think he's a victim here. I think Mickey is a victim here.
They keep trying to make excuses, say that it was Kevin's fault or the babysitter's fault, everything but not the dog.
It's not that the dog was sitting there and all of a sudden got up, ran to the child, and bit the child for no reason. The child invaded the dog's space, took a possession, which the dog is very valuable, and the dog reacted.
Yesterday, Judgment Day for Mickey the Pit Bull. Inside a courtroom, a judge had to decide whether or not Mickey was a vicious animal. The judge ruled yes, Mickey's a vicious animal. Then the next question was, what should happen to Mickey the Pit Bull? Death was an option, but the judge spared Mickey's life. Let's bring in Monica Lindstrom, great criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor, is joining our dream team. She's out in Maricopa County, Arizona. We all know it very well from what happened out there last year. But anyway, Monica, you're in the courtroom for all of this. You're watching it, seeing it, hearing it. Explain the judge's sentence for Mickey the Pit Bull.
Well, the judge was really concerned about keeping the public at large safe from Mickey. So when she was talking to the animal behavior expert on the stand, she was going through the options that she's allowed to choose between. The first one is obviously euthanasia. She could have the dog killed. No, not a good call according to the expert. So the judge went through, what if he's neutered? What if he's defanged, declawed? What if he's put into a place where he can never be inside a home again? And the behavior expert really gave her a lot of information because the judge was really serious about this, Vinny. She was really focusing because she said she is very concerned that if Mickey were to ever be released to a home, that Mickey might attack a visitor to the home or, God forbid, another child. So she was really focused on that. She decided, instead of putting Mickey to death, she decided to go ahead, allow him to be transferred to a pet rehab center or a sanctuary where he would essentially live out the rest of his life. He is never allowed to go to a home. He stays in the sanctuary. He also has to be neutered. He has to be defanged, which means they're just going to file his canines down. They're not going to rip him out. And then he'll have the microchip as well.
Okay, so what was the reaction to all of this? I mean, was this, you know, everyone sort of went home and said, okay, we're all satisfied with the judge's decision here? Not really.
Not really. You know, inside the courtroom, she first had to make the call whether the dog was vicious or not. And she did say this dog was in fact vicious. And when she said that, there was a gasp on the other side of the courtroom where all the supporters were. There was a lot of head shaking. In fact, Vinny, there were 3 armed police officers inside the courtroom because they were so worried about the reaction. And then when the judge was talking about the possibility of going to a sanctuary, the supporters were all nodding their head, kind of cheering. And at one point, several of them actually started crying, Benny. I'm hoping that those were tears of joy or maybe relief. But it was really surprising. This 30-minute hearing lasted for 4 hours. I was really surprised.
Okay, you're describing the scene inside the courtroom because, you know, the reaction to this has, you know, a lot of emotion from both sides. But speaking of both sides, was there anyone in court who wanted this dog put to death? Were there people that were outraged that this dog was allowed to live?
The only person that was vocal about wanting Mickey to die was the plaintiff. Now, the plaintiff was not the babysitter. She was not the owner. She was at the scene, and her little 5-year-old boy was playing with Kevin, who was the victim in this case. So she was physically there on the scene. And she was the one that filed the complaint. She wanted Mickey declared vicious, and she wanted him to die. She was the only one that said anything about that. There were no hardcore supporters for death, so to speak, at the proceedings.
All right, let's get a quick reaction from the Dream Team on the judge's ruling. LaTonya.
Well, I mean, it makes some sense. He's trying to decide between life, or almost like life without possibility of parole.
Parole, that's what it is.
Or basically the death penalty. So she chose what she thought was the lighter sentence. But if I was the mom and that happened to my child, I would say death penalty.
Lonnie?
Well, you know, I agree. This is a life without possibility of parole, but there was so much attention on this case and on this dog and so much sympathy for it. And this judge, I think, did the most she could do without putting the dog to death. At least the dog's never going to be around another child. We'll never have the opportunity to do this again because we don't know, no matter what the training, the retraining is, what will happen. I really appreciate the judge talking to the adults, both the owner and the babysitter, saying, look, you knew this was a dangerous dog already, and you had him out there on an 18-foot chain with the doghouse in a common area of the apartment complex. They really hold some responsibility. And let's face it, during this time that this case was pending, 450 other dogs in similar situations in Maricopa County were euthanized. This does not happen very often where there's all of this hoopla and this much attention. So it's really going to fall on the owners of these dogs to be responsible and train these dogs right.
All right. Did the judge make the right ruling? That's the question we're asking you online. It's posted on our website. We've also sent out a link on Facebook and Twitter. Tell us what you think. Right now, it's looking like 54% of you saying, yes, the judge did make the right decision.